In the dust-swept heart of 14th century West Africa, beneath a blazing sun and above rivers rich with gold, a legend was born. Not from war, not from conquest, but from wealth so immense it shook the very foundation of the world economy. Mali, a vast empire sprawling across the Sahel, had known many kings, but none like him. His name? Mansa Musa Keita. To the common man, he was a god in human flesh. To traders, he was gold incarnate. To historians, he would become the richest man who ever lived. But riches, as history teaches us, never come without shadows. Musa was not meant to be king. His rise began in the shadows of fate. The reigning king, his predecessor, had vanished into the Atlantic on a mysterious voyage, obsessed with what lay beyond the sea. He never returned. Musa, then deputy, was left with the crown. At first it seemed like divine coincidence, but as his rule began, the true scope of Mali's empire unfurled. Stretching from the edge of the Atlantic Ocean to the heart of the Sahara, Mali held dominion over the famed goldfields of Bambouk and Bouré, veins of shimmering wealth buried beneath the African soil. Gold dust was so common in the markets of Mali that it was traded like salt. The empire also controlled vast salt mines. An ocean vein was another currency of power in the scorching lands where preservation was life. But Musa had a vision beyond gold. He saw Mali not just as a trade empire, but a beacon of knowledge, religion, and prestige. And so, in 1324, he made a decision that would transform his name into myth. He would go on a pilgrimage to Mecca. The journey that shook the world, what followed was no ordinary Hajj. Mansa Musa's caravan stretched as far as the eye could see. 60,000 men, including 12,000 slaves, each carrying 4 pounds of gold. Hundreds of camels, each bearing gold dust and coins. Musicians, griots, soldiers, and heralds marched with him. It was not just a religious mission, it was a parade of power. As he crossed into Egypt, whispers of his arrival ran ahead like wildfire. In Cairo, his wealth dazzled even the powerful Mamluk Sultan al-Nasir. Musa gave out so much gold, lavishly and without hesitation, that it caused inflation, wrecking the local economy for over a decade. Gold lost value in Egypt, prices soared, and the world took notice. But there was something else Musa brought with him: intellect. On his return journey, he didn't just bring back trinkets. He returned with architects, scholars, and scribes. Among them was Abu Ishaq es-Saheli, a renowned Andalusian architect who had helped design some of Mali's greatest mosques. The rise of Timbuktu back in Mali, Mansa Musa began to forge his second empire, the empire of the mind. He transformed Timbuktu from a trading outpost into a thriving center of Islamic learning, establishing the Sankore University, one of the earliest universities in the world. It housed over 700,000 manuscripts on astronomy, medicine, law, and philosophy. Musa also commissioned the Jingueber Mosque, a monumental structure made of mud and wood, yet enduring centuries. Mali was no longer just a land of gold, it had become the intellectual heart of Africa. But not everyone celebrated Musa's ascent. Within his empire, some nobles began to grow restless. Musa's generosity abroad was questioned at home. Dissent brewed silently in the outer regions, among rival clans, minor kings, and even some of his own advisors who whispered, "Is gold enough to hold an empire together?" He ruled with a firm hand, but not without compassion. His justice system was fair, his rule was lawful, but power invites ambition. It is said that during the final years of his reign, Musa thwarted at least 2 assassination plots. The details remain shrouded in mystery, but one name is often repeated in secret chronicles: the Red Merchant, a traitor turned conspirator who vanished after the second attempt, believed to have escaped into the sands of the Sahara. Whether myth or truth, Musa never publicly acknowledged the threat. Instead, he turned to faith, commissioning more schools, mosques, and trade centers. His gold, it seemed, could not only build empires, it could heal, distract, and unify. The fall of silence. After ruling for 25 years, Mansa Musa disappeared from the world's stage. as mysteriously as he had risen. Some accounts say he died in 1337, others claim he abdicated in favor of his son, retreating to a spiritual life away from gold and power. But by then, his legend had already crossed oceans. European mapmakers who knew little of Africa at the time began sketching an African king on their charts, seated on a golden throne holding a nugget of gold. The Catalan Atlas of 1375, one of the most important medieval maps, depicts him with these words: "This black lord is called Musa Mali, lord of the Negroes of Guinea. So abundant is the gold which is found in his country that he is the richest and most noble king in all the land." He had etched his legacy into the very fabric of world history. Legacy of Gold. Mansa Musa's story is not just about riches, it's about vision. He turned wealth into influence, faith into empire, and empire into legend. His pilgrimage redefined Africa's presence on the global stage, challenging the European view of Africa as a dark, uncivilized continent. And yet, centuries later, his name still flickers like a golden flame in the winds of time. His empire eventually faded, the gold mines dried, but what he built, knowledge, architecture, pride, remained. Even today, economists and historians estimate that, adjusted for modern inflation, Mansa Musa's fortune would be worth over $400 billion, 0 cents, more than Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk combined. But perhaps his greatest wealth was the story he left behind. A story of a black king who ruled not just with gold, but with purpose. So when they ask who was the richest man in history, don't look to Silicon Valley or Wall Street. Look to the Sahel. Look to Mali. Look to Mansa Musa.